Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever felt like money is this wild, untamed force running away from you just when you need it most? Like no matter how hard you chase it, it slips through your fingers? What if I told you, money is not the master? Money is the servant. And there is a secret command, a simple but powerful instruction that can make money obey. Florence Scovel Shinn, a woman of extraordinary wisdom, taught this nearly a century ago. She said, "Your word is your wand." Think about that for a moment. Your word. Your belief. Your declaration. Money doesn't respond to fear. It doesn't respond to begging. It doesn't respond to desperation. But it does respond to certainty. It does respond to faith. It does respond to command. Let me give you an example. Imagine walking a dog. If you whisper timidly, "Come here, please," the dog may ignore you. But if you speak with authority, calm, confident, direct, "Come," the dog obeys. Money works the same way. Most people chase it with fear. They say, "I hope I get paid this week. I wish I had enough to cover the bills." Do you hear the weakness in those words? Now compare that to someone who declares, "Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways. My supply is endless. My wealth is certain." Feel the difference? That's the secret command. Not a scream. Not a desperate cry. But a calm, unwavering declaration of truth. Money is energy. And energy follows direction. I know what you're thinking. That sounds too simple. Can words really change my financial life? Yes, they can. And they do every single day. Think of the people you know who always seem lucky. They land the jobs. They close the deals. They get the opportunities. It's not luck, it's alignment. They carry an inner certainty. And their words match that certainty. Florence told a story of a woman who needed money desperately. Instead of worrying, she declared, "I cast this burden on the Christ within, and I go free." Within days, her debt was cleared in the most unexpected way. Here's the truth. When you speak with authority, you are not commanding money with your own power, you're aligning with the universal law that already governs abundance. It's like electricity. You don't create it. You flip the switch. And the current flows. So what's the secret command? It's your decision to stop speaking lack. It's your choice to replace fear with faith. It's the bold declaration. Money is my obedient servant. It comes when I call. It flows where I send it. And it multiplies under divine law. Say that with me in your heart right now. Because when you do, something shifts. Fear loosens. Doors open. Opportunities appear. You see, money doesn't resist you. Only your words and beliefs push it away. So tonight, when you go home and that old voice whispers, "There's never enough," I want you to smile and say, "Obey me, money. You are mine to command. And I command you to flow freely, abundantly, joyfully into my life." And watch what happens. Because the secret isn't chasing money. The secret is commanding it with faith, with authority, and with gratitude. Thank you. Following are the key points that you will listen in this video. Money is energy, and like energy, it responds to direction, not fear or desperation. Your words are powerful. They act as commands that shape financial outcomes. Speaking with faith and certainty attracts money. Speaking with worry repels it. Money is a servant, not a master. It follows your confident declarations. Alignment with universal abundance laws is like flipping a switch. The flow begins. The secret command: replace fear-based language with affirmations of wealth, authority, and gratitude. Money is energy, and like energy, it responds to direction, not fear or desperation. Imagine standing in front of a light switch in a dark room. The electricity is already present in the wires, waiting, invisible but real. You don't have to plead with it, beg it, or doubt if it will come. You simply flip the switch, and light fills the space. Money is much like that. It is a current of energy that exists all around us, waiting to be directed. Yet, so many people sit in the dark, whispering, "I hope the light turns on," never realizing that their words, their thoughts, their attitude are the very switch they refuse to touch. Think of a farmer standing before a barren field. He knows the soil is fertile. He knows the rain will fall. But if he scatters no seeds, the land remains empty. In the same way, money responds to what we plant into the world through our words and expectations. Fear is not a seed that produces harvest, it is a stone thrown into the ground. Desperation is not nourishment, it dries up the soil. But direction, clear, confident, intentional direction, works like a seed that grows into abundance. Picture someone you know who always seems weighed down by money. They say things like, "I can't afford this. I never have enough. Life is too expensive." They don't even realize that every sentence is a command. And the energy of money listens. Their words are like a GPS, constantly programming money to stay away, to slip through their hands. It's not that they are cursed, it's that they are misdirecting the current. Now contrast that with someone who carries themselves differently. They may not be rich yet, but they speak with faith. They say, "Money flows to me. I am always provided for. Opportunities find me." And strangely, they always seem to catch breaks. They attract help, gifts, offers, new paths opening out of nowhere. Florence Scovel Shinn would call this alignment with divine law. The difference between the two people isn't luck, it's command. One is commanding through fear, the other through faith. Fear is like static interference on a radio. Imagine trying to tune into a beautiful song, but the crackling and noise drown it out. That's what happens when we speak from worry. We send out a signal, but it's distorted, and money can't follow the path to us clearly. On the other hand, certainty clears the channel. It sharpens the frequency. Suddenly the music comes through pure and strong. Certainty is the magnet that energy recognizes. I remember a story Florence shared about a woman who needed money desperately for rent. She had exhausted every avenue and was drowning in anxiety. But instead of spiraling deeper into fear, she turned to her words. She declared with calm assurance, "I am supplied. I cast this burden on the Christ within, and I go free." She spoke it daily, not with panic but with faith, as if she was flipping the switch, as if the supply was already there. Days later, in a completely unexpected way, her rent was paid in full by a distant relative who felt a sudden urge to help. Coincidence? No. It was energy obeying direction. Think about your own life. How often do you speak in ways that push money away without even noticing? You may say, "I can't buy that. Money doesn't grow on trees. I'll never catch up." But every phrase plants a seed, and that seed grows into the very reality you complain about. What if instead you replaced those words with new commands? Imagine telling yourself, "Money is always finding me. Every bill is already paid. I am a magnet for prosperity." Do you feel how those words shift the energy in your body? One brings heaviness, the other brings lightness. That is the difference between fear and direction. Let's look at fear closely. Fear is rooted in the illusion of scarcity. It says, "There isn't enough for me." But energy, like the sun, is limitless. You don't worry that the sun will run out of light when you open your blinds in the morning. You trust that it's there. That's the attitude money responds to. The sun shines regardless of your mood, but whether your room is lit depends on your choice to open the window. The flow of money works the same way, it is abundant, but whether it reaches you depends on whether you open the channel through confident words and expectation. Some people might object and say, "But I've said affirmations before, and nothing happened." And that's because their words were wrapped in fear. It's like whispering commands with shaking hands. Imagine a general giving orders to his army while trembling, unsure if his soldiers will obey. Do you think they would follow him with confidence? Energy is the same. It responds not to the sound of the words but to the conviction behind them. Florence often reminded her students that faith is not hoping, it is knowing. It is commanding with the certainty that the universe is already listening. Let me give you another image. Imagine you are a conductor of an orchestra. The musicians are all seated, instruments in hand, waiting. If you stand on the podium and mumble, unsure, maybe play something, maybe not, the orchestra will sit in silence. But if you lift the baton and with full confidence declare, "Play," the music begins in perfect harmony. Money is like that orchestra. It is waiting. It is listening. But it will not play until you give the command with confidence. You don't need to scream at money. You don't need to beg. You need only to direct it with the quiet strength of faith. That's why desperation never works. It's like pounding the piano keys in frustration instead of directing the melody. Money responds to the music of certainty, not the noise of fear. Energy is impartial. Electricity does not care if you are rich or poor, it flows wherever the switch is flipped. Gravity does not care if you are kind or cruel, it pulls equally. Money as energy is the same. It obeys the laws of direction. If you speak fear, you direct it away. If you speak faith, you direct it toward you. And once you understand this, the struggle softens. The chase ends. You stop running after money like a frightened child and begin commanding it like a rightful heir. When Florence said, "Your word is your wand," she meant it literally. Think of a magician waving a wand and saying, "Let there be light," and instantly a spark appears. Your word carries that same creative power. Every time you say, "I can't afford this," your wand casts a spell of lack. Every time you declare, "I am abundant," your wand casts a spell of prosperity. The universe doesn't decide for you, it simply obeys your command. And this is why fear is so dangerous. Fear is nothing more than faith in the wrong direction. It is belief that scarcity is more powerful than abundance. It is trust that disaster is more certain than supply. But the moment you reverse it, when you decide to trust in plenty, when you speak it as if it is already real, the energy shifts instantly. The current changes direction. Money begins to obey. Because money is not resisting you. It has no will of its own. It is not a master. It is energy, waiting, like a river waiting for you to carve the channel through which it can flow. And your words, your faith, your direction are the tools that shape that channel. Every time you speak with certainty, you widen it. Every time you speak with fear, you block it. And the river simply follows the path you create. So the next time you feel the grip of worry, the weight of bills, the shadow of lack, remember this: you are not powerless. You hold the switch. You hold the wand. You hold the baton. Money is listening, waiting for your command. And energy, always obeys direction, not fear, not desperation, but the clear, calm authority of faith spoken into the world. Your words are powerful. They act as commands that shape financial outcomes. Most people don't realize it, but every sentence they speak carries weight. Every phrase is like a seed planted in the soil of their future. When Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Your word is your wand," she wasn't speaking in poetry, she was speaking in law. Think for a moment about how words have shaped your life so far. A teacher once told you that you were smart, and you began to believe it. A parent may have said you were careless, and that label clung to you for years. A friend may have told you that you had potential, and suddenly, you saw doors where before you saw walls. Words are not just sounds in the air, they are commands to the mind, and the mind translates them into reality. Picture two people starting their day. One wakes up, sighs, and says, "Another day, another dollar. I'll never get ahead." Their words are laced with frustration, and those words sink into their subconscious like nails hammered into wood. The day that unfolds will reflect the command they unknowingly gave. Their energy will be dull, their eyes downcast, opportunities invisible to them because they have already told themselves there are none. Now imagine another person waking up and saying, "Today is full of opportunities. Money comes to me easily. I am ready to receive." That person may not see money fall from the sky immediately, but their posture shifts, their energy rises, and suddenly they notice chances the first person walked right past. Both lives are shaped, not by circumstances, but by the words spoken at the start of the day. Think about history. Leaders have used words to move nations, to rally armies, to create revolutions. A single speech can lift millions out of despair or plunge them into fear. If words can command entire countries, how can we doubt that they command the flow of money in our personal lives? Florence often reminded her students that words are like boomerangs, they circle back and land where they began. When you say, "I am always broke," you are throwing a boomerang of lack that will come back and strike your finances. When you say, "Money flows to me freely," that boomerang returns carrying opportunities, solutions, and unexpected gifts. Let me tell you a story. A man once approached Florence with a complaint. He said, "I never seem to have enough money. No matter how hard I work, it disappears." Florence asked him, "What do you say about money every day?" He thought for a moment and admitted, "I always say, money goes out faster than it comes in." Florence simply replied, "Then that is your law. Change your words, and you will change your outcome." He was skeptical, but desperate enough to try. He began replacing his old phrase with, "Money comes in faster than it goes out. I am always supplied." Within weeks, his situation shifted. He received an unexpected bonus at work, a friend repaid an old loan, and small opportunities began multiplying. The words he once used to curse himself were replaced with words that commanded blessing. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Can it really be that simple? Can a few words really make money obey? But think of a computer. The machine itself doesn't decide what to do, it only follows the commands typed into it. Garbage in, garbage out. Precise instructions in, precise results out. Your subconscious mind is no different. It does not argue, it does not reason, it simply obeys the commands given by your words. If you continually say, "I can't afford this," your mind finds ways to make it true. If you say, "I always find a way. Money comes to me," your mind begins scanning the environment for evidence of that truth. Words shape perception, and perception shapes reality. Imagine walking through a busy city street. One person, repeating, "I never catch a break," sees closed doors and obstacles everywhere. Another, repeating, "I am always favored," notices a help-wanted sign in a shop window, strikes up a conversation with a stranger who offers an opportunity, or remembers a skill that can generate income. The same street, the same moment, but their words created entirely different realities. Florence told her students that words are not casual, they are spiritual forces. Every word you speak is a boomerang, she said, and it will return sooner or later, with astounding accuracy. Think about the last time you said, "This always happens to me," whether in frustration or disappointment. Did it happen again? Probably, because you reinforced it with your words. Words are like magnets, they pull circumstances toward them. Even science echoes this truth. Studies in psychology show that people who repeat negative self-talk experience higher stress, fewer opportunities, and lower earnings over time. Meanwhile, people who affirm abundance and possibility develop resilience and resourcefulness that actually changes their financial trajectory. Florence was teaching long before modern psychology caught up, but her words remain timeless. Speak what you desire, not what you fear. Let's create an image in your mind. Picture money as a loyal dog. If you say, "Money never stays," it's like telling the dog, "Go away, don't sit near me." And obediently, it runs off. But if you say, "Money, come, stay with me, multiply," you are calling it with authority, and like that loyal dog, it sits by your side. Your words are the leash, the call, the training command. Without them, money wanders. With them, money obeys. But here's the danger: words spoken carelessly carry the same power. Someone jokingly says, "I'm broke," and laughs. They don't realize they are casting a spell. Words don't care if you were joking, energy doesn't parse humor. It simply obeys. That's why Florence urged her students to guard their speech. To never speak lack, even in jest. Because every word is a seed, and seeds don't discriminate, they grow when planted. So, how do you begin reshaping your reality through words? Start by noticing. Notice every phrase you speak about money. Catch yourself when you say, "I can't afford it," and replace it with, "It's not a priority right now, but I am abundant and supplied." Instead of saying, "Money is hard to earn," declare, "Money flows to me through multiple channels." Instead of saying, "I'm always in debt," affirm, "I am free from debt, and my supply is endless." It may feel strange at first, but remember, the subconscious doesn't judge. It obeys repetition. And here is the beauty: once you start speaking abundance, you begin to feel it. Words shape feelings, feelings shape actions, actions shape outcomes. The person who says, "I always find a way," approaches challenges with creativity and persistence. The one who says, "I never have enough," approaches with defeat before even trying. Same obstacle, different command, entirely different result. Your words are the architects of your financial house. Every sentence is a brick. Build with bricks of lack, and the house will crumble. Build with bricks of abundance, and the house will stand tall, strong, and filled with provision. Florence believed this was not just philosophy, but divine law. Words spoken with faith are words stamped with authority, and the universe must obey. So guard your words as you would guard treasure. Because they are treasure. They are the invisible currency that shapes visible wealth. Every time you speak, ask yourself, am I commanding money to stay, or commanding it to flee? Am I opening the channel, or closing it? Am I blessing my finances, or cursing them with careless speech? Because the truth remains, your words are never empty. They are commands, written in the air, planted in the soil of the universe, returning to you in the form of financial reality. Speaking with faith and certainty attracts money, speaking with worry repels it. Imagine standing on the edge of a vast canyon, your voice echoing into the distance. If you shout words of fear, I'll never make it, I'll never survive, the echo returns those same words, amplified, surrounding you. If you declare with faith, I am provided for, I am safe, I am abundant, those are the words that come back to you. Life is that canyon. It doesn't choose the echo. It only returns what you send. And money, being energy, responds the same way. Think of a child learning to ride a bicycle. If that child says, I'm going to fall, I just know it, what usually happens? They wobble, panic, and tumble to the ground. But if the child says, I can do this, I know I can, their body aligns with that belief, and suddenly balance comes naturally. The words don't just describe reality, they create it. In the same way, your financial life balances itself according to the words you speak. Faith steadies you. Worry shakes you. Florence Scovel Shinn often reminded her students that worry is nothing more than inverted faith. Worry is belief in lack, spoken out loud. Faith is belief in abundance, spoken with certainty. The universe does not distinguish between the two, it simply delivers what you order. If you continually speak in worry, I don't know how I'll pay these bills, I'm afraid it won't be enough, you are placing an order for scarcity. And faithfully, scarcity arrives. If you instead speak with faith, I know I am always supplied, money comes when I need it, opportunities are lining up for me, you are placing an order for provision. And faithfully, provision arrives. Let me give you a picture. Imagine two gardens. In the first, the gardener scatters seeds of weeds, words of fear, words of doubt. I can't. I won't. It's impossible. Soon, the garden is overrun, choking out beauty. In the second, the gardener plants seeds of faith, I can. I will. It's already mine. Day by day, flowers of abundance bloom. The soil is the same. The sunlight is the same. The only difference is the seed. Worry plants weeds. Faith plants fruit. Now, let's get practical. Consider a man applying for a job. He tells himself, I'll probably be rejected. I never get chosen. They won't like me. By the time he walks into the interview, his energy is heavy, his posture slouched, his answers uncertain. The employer senses his insecurity, and his prophecy fulfills itself. Another man applies for the same job but says, this is mine. I have favor. I bring value wherever I go. He enters with confidence, speaks with certainty, and the employer feels his energy. Even if he doesn't get that job, another opens, because his faith keeps drawing opportunities to him. Faith attracts. Worry repels. Florence shared the story of a woman who constantly worried about losing her home. Every day she spoke it aloud, what if I can't make the payments? What if I'm thrown out? Her words became like hammers striking the foundation. Eventually, the very thing she feared came to pass. Contrast this with another woman who declared daily, my home is safe, my supply is endless, I live under divine protection. Even when circumstances looked impossible, help came at the last moment, a new source of income, unexpected generosity, delays in payment that gave her time. Her certainty acted like a shield, repelling loss and drawing provision. Ask yourself, how many times a day do you speak in worry? How often do you say, what if I can't afford it? What if it all goes wrong? What if I never get ahead? Each what if is a magnet pulling lack toward you. And how often do you speak in faith? What if it works out? What if abundance is waiting for me? What if everything I need is already on the way? Those what ifs flip the magnet, pulling money, opportunity, and solutions. Picture yourself as a captain steering a ship. The winds of life blow, sometimes strong, sometimes soft. Worry says, we're doomed, the storm will sink us. The crew panics, and the ship drifts aimlessly, vulnerable to the waves. Faith says, we will reach the shore. The storm will pass. Steady the sails. The crew calms, the course holds, and the ship arrives safely. Your words are the captain's voice, and money is part of the crew. It takes orders. It waits for direction. And it responds to the certainty of your tone. Even modern science nods to this truth. Studies show that people who practice optimistic self-talk not only experience less stress but also perform better financially, because their minds are free to notice opportunities and solutions. Worry narrows vision, faith expands it. Worry says, there's no way out. Faith says, there must be a way, and I will find it. And because faith expects, it sees what worry overlooks. Think of electricity again. Money is a servant,
Worry is like
not a
frayed
master.
wires.
It follows your
Sparks
confident
flying,
declarations.
energy wasted,
Yet
lights
for most
flickering.
people,
Faith
money
is
has
like
been
a
placed
well-built
on a circuit.
throne,
Energy
it never
flows
deserved.
smoothly,
They bow to
powering
it,
everything with
fear it,
clarity and
chase it,
strength, and serve
the
it as
current
if
is
it
the
holds
same.
ultimate
It's
power
the wiring,
over their
the
lives.
words, that
But
determines
Florence
the
Scovel
outcome.
Shinn turned this belief upside down when she reminded her students that money is not a tyrant to be feared, it is a servant to be commanded. Think of it this way: who holds more authority, the master who gives orders or the servant who obeys? The answer is clear. But if you look at the way people behave around money, you'd think money is the master. Picture a household where the servant is put in charge. The master, unsure of his role, follows the servant around, begging for scraps of attention, asking, "Will you provide for me today? Will you give me enough to survive?" The servant grows arrogant, not because of true power, but because the master has forgotten who he is. This is how many treat money. They plead with it: please stay, please don't run out, please come back soon. But money is never meant to lead, it is meant to follow. Now imagine the household restored to order. The master gives clear instructions: do this, go here, return with that. The servant nods, obeys, and fulfills the task. No confusion, no drama, no fear. This is the proper relationship between you and money. You are the master. Money is the servant. It has no will of its own. It does not rise in rebellion. It does not decide to abandon you out of spite. It only goes where you send it and stays where you direct it through the authority of your words and beliefs. Florence told her students, "You must train money to come and stay." That may sound strange, but think of it as training an animal. If you treat a dog like the master of the house, it will bark, demand, and misbehave. But if you train it with firm commands, it learns its place and serves loyally. Money works the same way. It learns from the tone of your language whether you are in control or not. When you say, "I'm always broke, money slips through my fingers," you are training money to behave that way. When you declare, "Money stays with me, multiplies with me, and serves my purpose," you are training it to obey. Let me give you a picture. Imagine a man who spends his days in fear of money leaving him. He checks his bank account obsessively, sighs over every bill, whispers, "I can't keep it, I can't hold it." And faithfully, money obeys, flowing out as quickly as it flows in. His servant is running the house because his words told it to. Now imagine another man who speaks differently. He says, "Money is my tool. It stays with me and grows. It serves my mission." He spends with gratitude, saves with wisdom, and gives with joy. And strangely, his money stretches further, multiplies, and returns through unexpected channels. The servant is obeying its master. Think of money as a hammer. In the hands of a master builder, the hammer constructs homes, schools, temples, bridges, structures that last for generations. But in the hands of someone who doesn't know their authority, the hammer is left lying unused or wielded carelessly, creating damage instead of building. The hammer itself has no intention. It simply obeys the hand that guides it. In the same way, money has no morality, no agenda. It is neutral. It is a tool, waiting for direction. Whether it builds or destroys depends on the words and commands of the one who holds it. Florence often reminded her students to never worship money. Worship belongs to God, to the infinite source of supply. Money is merely the channel, the servant that carries out divine will in your life. The moment you fear money, you elevate it to the throne of a false god. And false gods always disappoint, because they are powerless to fulfill the role you gave them. When you see money as servant, fear disappears. You stop begging. You stop chasing. Instead, you speak, and money obeys. Consider the story of a woman who desperately needed funds for her business. She prayed and worried and begged, but nothing shifted. Then she remembered Florence's teaching, speak as the master. She stood in her empty store and declared, "Money is my obedient servant. It comes when I call. It fills this business with supply." Within a week, an old client returned with a large order, and soon after, new customers appeared. What changed? Not the economy. Not luck. The servant heard the master's command and responded. Or take another example, a young man weighed down by student debt. Every day he sighed, "I'll never pay this off. I'm trapped." His words were shackles on his own ankles. But when he began to declare instead, "My debts are cleared. Money serves me by wiping away every burden," opportunities opened. A promotion came. Side work appeared. Discounts and forgiveness reduced the debt. Slowly but surely, the servant obeyed, and the chains broke. Why do words matter so much? Because a servant does not question, it simply acts. If you say, "Money leaves," it leaves. If you say, "Money stays," it stays. If you say, "Money serves my purpose," it aligns itself with that purpose. The authority lies not in the servant but in the master's voice. Think of your words like the commands of a general on the battlefield. The soldiers do not debate. They do not ask why. They move where directed. But imagine a general who wrings his hands and says, "I don't know if we can win, maybe the enemy is too strong, maybe we should surrender." The army falters, confused, disorganized. Money responds in the same way to uncertainty. But when the general lifts his voice with clarity, forward, victory is ours. The army surges, obeying without hesitation. Money waits for that same authority from you. And here lies the shift. Once you realize money is your servant, you stop fearing it, and you start commanding it. You say, "Go out into the world and bring back opportunity. Multiply in my accounts. Serve my dreams. Build my future." And like a loyal servant, money obeys. You see, money has no spirit of rebellion. It does not plot against you. It is not sitting in some hidden vault laughing at your struggles. It is simply waiting for the right command. The question is not whether money will serve you, the question is whether you will finally stand as master and speak with authority. So many are enslaved not by money itself but by their fear of it. They believe they are servants of their bills, servants of their debts, servants of the dollar. But Florence's wisdom cuts through the illusion. You are not the servant. You are the master. You are the one with authority. And the moment you speak as such, the balance of power shifts. The throne is restored. The servant takes its rightful place at your feet, ready to obey. Because in truth, money has no power until you give it power. It has no voice until you give it words. It has no direction until you command it. And when you finally step into your rightful role, when you declare with confidence, "Money serves me," not the other way around, you begin to see the miracle unfold. The servant rushes to carry out the master's will, and life, once filled with fear and lack, becomes a stage where abundance follows your every command. Alignment with universal abundance laws is like flipping a switch. Think of a dark room. The furniture is already there, the chairs, the table, the books, the pictures on the wall. Everything you need is present, but in darkness you stumble, stub your toe, knock things over, and complain, "Why is this room so empty?" The truth is, it was never empty. You were simply out of alignment with the light. One flick of a switch, and suddenly everything becomes visible. That is how abundance works. It is not created when you align, it was always there. Alignment simply turns on the light so you can see it. Florence Scovel Shinn often told her students, "There is a supply for every demand." She meant that the universe is already overflowing with provision, but people miss it because they live in the dark of fear, doubt, and misdirection. Alignment is not about forcing abundance into existence, it is about stepping into harmony with the laws that govern it. Just like gravity does not need your permission to work, the law of abundance does not need your invention. It is constant, eternal, impartial. The question is, are you in alignment with it? Imagine a radio. The music is playing 24/7 from the broadcasting station, but if your dial is turned to static, you don't hear it. You may even think, there's no music, it doesn't exist. But the music is there, invisible yet real, waiting for you to tune in. The moment you twist the dial to the right frequency, the song bursts through, clear and powerful. Abundance is that broadcast. Your faith, words, and beliefs are the dial. Alignment tunes you into the frequency of wealth, while fear leaves you stuck in static. Let's look at a real example. A woman once told Florence that she prayed constantly for money, but nothing changed. Florence asked her, "What do you say about money every day?" The woman admitted, "I keep saying I can't make ends meet." Florence gently replied, "Then that is the station you're tuned to. Turn the dial." The woman began speaking, "I always meet my obligations. I am abundantly supplied." She didn't create abundance by saying it, she tuned into it. And within weeks, unexpected income appeared, debts were cleared, and she realized the supply had been there all along, waiting for her to flip the switch. Think of alignment as sailing with the wind. The ocean's current is vast and unstoppable. You can fight it, paddling furiously in the wrong direction, exhausting yourself and making little progress. That's what living out of alignment feels like: struggling, striving, pushing, but always feeling behind. But when you adjust your sails to the current, suddenly the same energy that once resisted you carries you forward with ease. That adjustment, that small but crucial shift, is alignment. And the wind of abundance is always blowing. The only question is, are your sails set correctly? Florence compared it to mathematics. 2 + 2 equals 4 whether you believe it or not. If you try to make it equal 5, you suffer frustration. But the moment you align with the truth of the equation, clarity comes. The laws of supply are just as exact. They are not emotional. They do not bend to worry. They only respond to alignment. If you align with fear, you reap lack. If you align with faith, you reap abundance. Now, let's imagine two shopkeepers. The first opens his store each morning muttering, "Business is slow. Customers don't come. Times are hard." He is aligned with scarcity, so his eyes only notice empty aisles and closed wallets. The second shopkeeper declares, "This store is blessed. Customers are coming. Money flows freely here." He is aligned with abundance, so he notices opportunities, the chance to improve his display, to greet someone warmly, to offer value that draws people in. Same street, same city, same economy. But one is tuned to static, and the other to music. And their results prove it. Alignment also removes fear. Think about electricity again. If you understand how it works, you flip the switch with confidence. You don't beg the wires, plead with the bulb, or stress about whether the light will shine. You trust the law. But if you are ignorant of electricity, you may sit in the dark, worrying that light is impossible. Knowledge of the law brings peace. Florence taught her students that once you understand divine supply, you stop begging and start trusting. You flip the switch with calm assurance, knowing the current is there. A powerful story comes from one of her students who desperately needed $1,000 to pay a debt. He was consumed with fear, repeating, "I don't see how it's possible." Florence corrected him, "You must flip the switch. Say instead, 'I have received the money under grace, in perfect ways.'" Though it felt strange at first, he obeyed, repeating it with conviction. Within days, unexpected opportunities appeared, a forgotten investment paid out, and the debt was cleared. He didn't create the money, it was already circulating in the universe. His alignment allowed it to reach him. We often think abundance is far away, but really it is as close as the air we breathe. You don't create oxygen when you inhale, you simply align your body to receive it. You don't create sunshine when you open the blinds, you align your home with its rays. Likewise, You don't create abundance when you speak with faith, you align with what already exists. That is why Florence said, every man has his invisible supply around him. It is invisible only until you flip the switch. But what keeps people from alignment? Fear. Doubt. The belief that money is scarce, that life is unfair, that supply belongs to others but not to them. These beliefs are like turning the radio dial to static. They keep the lights off. They set the sails against the wind. And then people say, see? Nothing works. Abundance is a lie. But the law is not broken, it is simply misapplied. The switch is waiting, but they refuse to flip it. So how do you align? By speaking as though it is already done. By declaring, I am supplied. Money flows to me. My needs are met. Even before you see it. Even before you feel it. Alignment is not reacting to circumstances, it is commanding them. It is deciding to tune your inner frequency to wealth, regardless of the outer noise. Think again of the dark room. A child enters and cries, it's empty, there's nothing here. But the parent smiles, reaches for the wall, and flicks the switch. Light floods in, and the child gasps at what was always there. That is what alignment feels like, a sudden revelation that abundance has surrounded you all along, waiting for the moment you declare, with faith, let there be light. Because alignment does not manufacture abundance, it reveals it. It does not chase money, it directs it. It does not beg, it commands. And when you finally flip the switch, when you tune the dial, when you set the sails, you realize the current was always carrying you, the music was always playing, the room was always full. All it needed was your alignment. The secret command that forces money to obey is simple, yet profound. Replace fear-based language with affirmations of wealth, authority, and gratitude. At first, it sounds almost too easy, but words are not just sounds, they are forces. They shape your reality like a sculptor shapes clay. Florence Scovel Shinn believed that every word spoken is a command to the universe. When you speak in fear, you issue an order for lack. When you speak in faith, you summon abundance. Your mouth is the switch. Your words are the command. Imagine standing before a loyal servant who takes your instructions literally, without question. If you say, there is never enough, the servant obeys, as you wish. If you declare, money comes easily to me, the servant replies, so it is. The universe responds with the same neutrality, it doesn't argue, it doesn't delay. It simply reflects the command given. The only question is, what are you commanding? Think of how often people curse themselves without realizing it. A man says, I can't afford that, and the universe echoes back, indeed, you cannot. A woman sighs, I'm always broke, and the law of supply confirms, then broke you shall remain. They believe they are describing their reality, when in truth they are prescribing their future. Florence used to warn, your word is your wand. With it, you either bless or bind yourself. Now picture a garden. Words are the seeds you plant every day. If you sow weeds, fearful, negative phrases, then weeds will sprout, choking out beauty. But if you sow affirmations of wealth and gratitude, the soil of life will produce a harvest of abundance. You don't plant apple seeds and expect oranges. Likewise, you cannot plant words of lack and expect prosperity. The harvest will always match the seed. A man once told Florence he constantly worried about his job security. He often said, I'll probably lose this position any day now. Not surprisingly, within weeks, he was dismissed. Florence didn't scold him, she explained. His words had been a command. He had been programming the circumstances with fear. When he finally shifted his language to, I am secure in divine employment. The perfect position is mine now, opportunities quickly opened for a far better job. He didn't trick the universe, he aligned his words with authority, and reality obeyed. But here's the challenge, fear often feels more real than faith. When bills pile up, it is easy to mutter, I'll never make it. When opportunities dry up, it feels natural to say, nothing ever works out for me. These words feel like emotional release, but in truth, they are chains. The secret command is discipline. It is choosing to speak not from fear, but from authority. It is declaring abundance even while your pockets are empty. That is why Florence's teachings were radical. She asked people to speak as if they already had what they desired, to command reality as kings and queens, not as beggars. Gratitude magnifies this command. Imagine two farmers. Both plant seeds, but only one waters them with care, smiling at each sprout, blessing the harvest in advance. Which field will flourish? Gratitude is the water of abundance. When you declare, "I am thankful for overflowing provision," even before it arrives, you accelerate its arrival. You act as if the harvest is already certain, and the universe rushes to confirm your faith. Florence wrote, "Gratitude is the law of increase. Whatever you bless, multiplies." Think of a child learning to walk. If the parent constantly says, "You'll fall, you'll hurt yourself, you'll never learn," the child becomes hesitant, fearful, shaky. But if the parent declares, "You're strong, you're learning, you will walk," the child grows confident, steady, bold. Your subconscious mind is that child. It listens to every word you speak. Feed it fear, and it trembles. Feed it authority, and it rises. Feed it gratitude, and it runs with joy. There is a famous story of a woman who needed rent money. Terrified, she kept repeating, "I'll be evicted, I'll be homeless." Florence corrected her, saying, "That is a command for disaster. Instead, speak this: 'My rent is paid in full, under grace and in perfect ways.'" Though the woman had no idea where the money would come from, she obeyed. She spoke it morning and night, with conviction. Within days, a relative unexpectedly gifted her the exact amount. She wept with joy not only at the money, but at the realization that her words had called it forth. The key is authority. Fearful language makes you a victim. Authoritative language makes you a commander. Say to money, "You obey me. You come when called. You multiply in my hands." And money, like a loyal servant, will obey. Florence often reminded her students that poverty is not humility, it is misused power. The same mouth that complains could command. The same tongue that curses could bless. When you combine authority with gratitude, you create an irresistible command. Say, "Money flows to me now, and I am thankful. Every bill is paid, and I am grateful. Wealth surrounds me, and I rejoice." This language does not beg, it declares. It does not whine, it celebrates. It does not shrink, it expands. And in doing so, it flips the energetic switch that forces money to obey. You can test this in small ways. Instead of saying, "I can't afford this meal," declare, "I am grateful for the resources to enjoy life's pleasures." Instead of sighing, "These bills are killing me," affirm, "Every bill is paid with ease, and money circulates freely." Notice how your body feels different. Fear-based words tighten your chest, sink your stomach, and cloud your mind. Authority-based words lift your spirit, energize your thoughts, and open your imagination. The shift is immediate because words do not just describe reality, they carry the vibration of creation itself. One of Florence's students once said, "But isn't it lying to say I am rich when I'm not?" She answered, "No. You are not lying, you are aligning." That distinction changes everything. Fear-based language aligns with scarcity. Faith-based language aligns with abundance. Gratitude aligns with multiplication. You are not denying reality, you are commanding a higher reality into form. So, what does this mean for you, standing here, listening now? It means every phrase you utter is a brushstroke on the canvas of your life. Speak in fear, and you paint shadows. Speak in authority, and you paint light. Speak in gratitude, and you paint glory. The command is always yours. The universe is always listening. Money is always ready to obey. The secret command, then, is not complicated. It is as simple as catching yourself mid-sentence and turning "I can't" into "I can." It is replacing "I'm always broke" with "I am abundantly supplied." It is exchanging worry with gratitude, panic with praise. Over time, this new language reprograms not only your subconscious, but your circumstances. And suddenly, money does not run from you, it runs to you. Because money is not your master. It is your servant. And servants wait for commands. The moment you speak with authority and gratitude, you issue the order. The moment you replace fear with faith, the switch flips. The moment you open your mouth and declare abundance, the unseen supply rushes in. That is the secret command. That is how money learns to obey. So now the question is not whether money will obey you. The question is, what command will you give it? Every moment, every sentence, every whisper from your lips is a decree. Will you decree fear, or will you decree faith? Will you command lack, or will you command abundance? Will you speak as a beggar, or as a master? You hold the authority. You hold the wand. You hold the power. Say it now, in your heart. Money, you obey me. Wealth, you serve me. Abundance, you flow to me. Say it again. Say it until it sinks into your bones. Say it until your fear bows down and your faith stands tall. Because the universe is waiting. Supply is waiting. Opportunity is waiting. But they cannot move until you command them. They cannot answer until you speak. Do not wait another day. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not wait for the world to change. Speak now. Declare now. Command now. And remember this, money does not lead you. Money follows you. Money does not own you. You own it. Money does not rule you. You rule it. So step out of fear. Step into authority. Step into gratitude. And let every word from your mouth become the secret command that forces money to obey. Because the truth is this, money has never been the master. It has always been the servant. And the servant is waiting for your command.